traffic manager and DNS. I don't think DNS will be covered today. So we'll discuss about traffic manager. What is traffic manager? So for explanation, we'll go to the Azure portal, what they have given the definition. Traffic manager in Azure, and we can use Azure documentation. So Azure Traffic Manager is a DNS traffic based load balancer. You should specifically understand DNS based traffic load balancer. This service allows you to distribute traffic to your public applications in the global Azure regions. See, this is also kind of a load balancer. Tomorrow onwards, we'll talk about the load balancers. But before that, this load balancer, this traffic manager is also kind of a load balancer, which will work in the global Azure regions. Means if your application, see, generally when you run your application, you will select one region, and in that region, in different availability zones, you will have your applications, right? Then you will configure load balancer. But if your application is running across different countries, means single site, but it is famous in multiple countries. For example, some like some website, which website we can talk, some website, assume xyz.com, www.abc.com is famous in, very much popular in US, and same also popular in India also. Assume lot of traffic will come from India and traffic from the US also. So here same abc.com is famous in India. So this will be separate region and this will be separate region. In this scenario, whatever the backend servers you are creating, so those servers is serving this application. So front end, you should create the traffic manager. So traffic manager will distribute the load equally, or distribute the load to this backend servers, whatever is configured. Generally, if you have a region, inside this region, you have availability zones, and in availability zone, you'll create a VM, and there you will create a load balancer, and traffic will come to load balancer. So availability zone 1, zone 2, this way we'll configure. That we'll start talking from tomorrow. This concept is like across regions. So your application, one server is in US, one server is in India. Why we need to create in India? Because whoever trying to access, always that request should not go to here. It should go to the server's request here itself. That way you can configure. So in these scenarios, we'll use DNS based traffic based load balancer. So this service allows you to distribute traffic to your public applications. Public applications means which is accessible through the internet in the global regions. So traffic manager also provides your public endpoints with high availability with responsive names. So endpoints, we are going to create endpoints also now. So the traffic manager is going to do the health checks to that endpoints, and it's going to maintain the high availability. So traffic manager uses DNS to direct client requests to the correct service endpoints based on a traffic routing method. So I will show you why DNS concept is coming here. Traffic manager also provides health monitoring for each endpoint. So now the scenario is like, we are going to create a VM in East US, and one more VM in the West US. And we will create a traffic manager here. This will be the traffic manager. And then once this is created, these are like endpoints. So here, this will be like endpoint, and this will be like endpoint. And whoever is accessing through the internet, so it will come to the traffic manager, and traffic manager will route the traffic to these machines. So now we need to configure same application on these machines, because obviously it should be the same content. So same application will be configured. So we are not an application guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to install Nginx, some basic web service, so that we can access it from the external world. So here I'm going to install Nginx in this machine, and same way here also Nginx. We'll install it, and first we need to have the setup. See, anything to achieve this one, we need to have this complete setup. So to have a VM, what we need? VNet. To have a VNet, we need to have resource groups. So let's go and create uh, resource groups, VMs, and install Nginx inside this. And then we'll go and talk to the traffic manager how to create it, and how to create these endpoints, and how to access this from the traffic manager site. So first of all, we should have the basic requirement setup. This one is required: VMs, VNets, resource groups. So for that, I have a document, so we can use that GitHub, and why? Yeah, it's available. Very simple. I'm creating one resource group. If you want, you can create this in separate resource group, this resource in separate resource group, like VNet, subnet, and this VM in a separate resource group, and this in separate, and this in separate resource group also you can create, or else all together in one also you can create. So I'm selecting only single RG now, and then I'm going to create two VNets. One is in the East US, another one is in the West US, and address is 10 series, 172 series. And here you can see this is a subnet address, and this is a subnet address for the another West US region. And after that, we are creating a two VMs. Very simple. We are creating two VMs, and this is a resource group, and this is a region. This is the name of the VM, Ubuntu, and username, password, and subnet names. So very simple. We are creating this to the command line. Just copy this one, and I'll use shell.azure.com. It's mobile XTEM. Surendra, it's a mobile XTEM tool I'm using. So I'm creating a resource group now. This is just a resource group I'm creating. Got created, and two VNets together I want to create it. So copy, paste, enter. So two VNets, and inside that VNet, one subnet will get created. So this is two different locations, East US and West US. And after that, we need to create a two VMs. These are Linux machines, and we are creating in East US and West US. Do we need to delete old public IPs? Old public IPs are static IPs. They are allowing only 3 static IPs. But for VMs, it is going to provide dynamic IPs. So I don't think dynamic IPs we can get. If not, we need to delete that. We'll see. I think we'll get dynamic IPs only, not a static IPs. So they were yesterday they were talking about static IPs, dedicated static IPs. So now we are creating VMs. So once these VMs are created, then we should go and log in inside these VMs. Prerequisite. So once VMs are ready, we need to install Nginx. So in the meantime, I'll go and see whether virtual machines are available now. East US VM is already available. So we should have a West US and it is also getting created. Let's hit create. Not yet created. It's taking time. In mention the template VM deploy is not valid according to validation process tracking ID. See inner errors for details code. We resources of type public IP address. Yeah, maybe we need to delete old one. So what I'm going to do now, resource groups. Proj-01 AZ group delete -n proj-01. I'm deleting the resource groups which we created for yesterday's lab. So once we create resource group, all the resources will get deleted. So we have 3 resource groups now: project 1, project 2, and hubrg. So I'll delete these 3 resource groups. So all the VMs also will get deleted. Then I can able to use it. So it is giving me error that public IPs. That's why it's created only one VM and it cannot able to create another VM. So only one VM got created. Second VM did not created. So I'm deleting the yesterday stuff. So here, when we create by default, this is having public IPs, right? So this is a DNS based routing, means load balancing. DNS based load balancing means this traffic manager will not recognize this machine's IPs. We cannot add when we try to create from here we'll try to create endpoints. While creating endpoints, we need to give this machine's information there. But when we try to give this misinformation, so we are going to get one IP. So IP is not going to recognize. So we should give the DNS name. Then only it will recognize. So in the meantime, we'll discuss about DNS. So how many of you know about DNS? What is DNS? Because this traffic manager will use DNS now. So here DNS concept will come. So how many of you know what is DNS? Or the IP to name and name to IP, convert IP to host name resolution and vice versa automatically assigns IP. Okay. First of all, why we need to convert IP to host name? What is the advantage of having that? IPs keep changing. Difficult to remember the IP. To make it secure, easy to remember. No need to remember the IP address. No one can remember IP address. Easy to remember and use. Identifying and all devices with the names and associated IPs. Yeah, correct. All of you, like most of you are correct. Remembering IPs is difficult. Like in our phone, we have a contacts of 100, 200, 500, 1000 contacts will be there. But in contacts, why we are saving it with name? Because we cannot remember all our friends, relatives, or whoever colleagues numbers, right? So that's why we'll just add a name to that number so that easily we can recognize. Sometimes with the same name, multiple people are there. Friend might be there with the same name, colleague or neighbor. Then you'll add extension like so and so name, Ravi with colleague, Ravi uh, neighbor, like this Ravi school friend to easily recognize. Same way here, IP is also like uh, in the meantime, I'll try to delete the next one also. So easy to remember here. Previously, what happens uh, before DNS got introduced, how it was in the real traditional data center here. All the servers like Windows and Linux, what are the servers? Like let's take this is a Linux servers. So here multiple hundreds or 200 servers used to be there. So what happens if it is having IP? By default, it will communicate with IP. Everything is good. Network is there. IP address is been configured. Everything can communicate. But by looking at the IP, can you able to tell whether that machine that IP, by looking at the IP, you cannot know that whether it's a production server or uh, acceptance server or Windows server or Active Directory server. You cannot tell anything about that by looking at the IP. But if it is having a name, then you can easily identify whether what kind of server it is, whether it's a prod server or whether it's an Windows server, Linux server or database server. You can able to easily identify it. But to achieve that, what we can do, so here in each and every Linux machine, we have a file called etc host file. So inside this etc host file, for example, IP address of this machine is 10.1.1.5, something like this. And another machine is 6, another machine is 7. So in the etc host file, we'll just add 10.1.1.5 and the machine name will be like EUPDVL app001, something like this. 10.1.1.6 and that machine name is UPDVL DB002. So whatever the name has been configured in the host name file, every machine will have a host name file. Inside that, whatever the host name you provided, and in this machine, if you have hundred servers, you need to configure all the 100 server IPs and their names inside your etc host file. And same way you need to do it for every server. In every machine, you should have all these 100 servers IPs and machine names. Then whenever you are trying to connect from this machine to this machine, let's say this machine IP is 10.1.1.4 and sitting from this machine, when you try to connect another machine and this machine is IP is 10.1.1.5, but when you are trying to do SSH AU EUPDVL app001, then immediately it will go and check the etc host file and it will check the entry over there because it's just a name, but main communication is happening with the IP only. So you don't know the IP, then it will go and check and in the etc host file it will find the IP address because it sees the entry. By taking that IP, then it will go and contact with this machine with the help of IP only. Here just for namesake we are providing this names, but end of the day the communication is going to happen with the IPs only. So, but this is very hectic job for the administrators at that time, because if any new servers has been added, then all these 100 servers entries needs to be added in this server, and this server information needs to be added in all the 100 servers. Otherwise, from this machine you cannot able to access this machine. Only with the IP only you can able to access, but with the host name you cannot able to access. So then in DNS has been introduced. So once the DNS is introduced, it is very easy to manage. So all these records, instead of every server, the same records you are going to configure in the DNS. And this single DNS name you are going to configure in all the machines. That's it. Then whenever you want to access any machine, this machine will go to the DNS server and it will take the IP address and it will go and connect to that machine. This is also deleted. Hub-RG. So now if you see this diagram, so this is a DNS server, and these are some our servers, some Linux servers, and this is also one of the server. Now all these four machines names and IPs has been configured as a records inside this DNS server, and this DNS server IP is this one, this domain name is this one, and here this name dns.zoom.com will be configured in all the servers. If you have 100 servers, in all your 100 servers, this will be configured. Where? In the etc resolve.conf file. And if it is a Windows, you know, right? Windows, it will configure the DNS. For example, if it is an LAN network, then TCP/IP properties here. DNS will be configured for Windows here. And for Linux machines, it is the etc resolve.conf file. Inside that it will be mentioned. So whenever if one Linux machine trying to access another Linux machine, let's say this machine want to connect to this machine. So what it is doing, it is typing some 192.160.0.10. Then first it will go and check, instead of that, it will try to check if it is trying ftp.zoom.com, this machine domain name. It don't know the IP. Then it will check the etc host file. It did not find. Then it will go and check the resolve.conf file. And it found one DNS server. Then it will go to the DNS server and it will check ftp.zoom.com. From the database, it will take the IP address. And by taking this IP address, then it will go and connect to this machine. That is how it happens. So DNS server resolved administrative work. Why? Because whenever a new server added, you just update the host name and IP of that machine inside the DNS. That's it. You don't need to add everything, like, and remaining all servers one time entry, add resolve.conf with the DNS server name. That's it. So easily you can able to resolve. So this is how it will work. But in real world, DNS server is very critical. Why? Because if the server goes down, then it will be a lot of impact. Why? Because if single server goes down, it will impact only that application. But if DNS server goes down, all these servers will not work. Why? Because every machines, yesterday, like in previous sessions when we discussed a 3-tier architecture, right? Whenever any application want to run, front end web application will be there, middleware and database will be there. So this will communicate to here and this will communicate here, then only front end, the site or what the application will work. So here it will be configured EUPD VL web, something like this, the host name of this machine. And inside this database name will be defined here. So if DNS is not working, then this machine cannot able to get the IP address of this machine. If it cannot able to get the IP address, then it cannot able to reach this machine, and this machine also cannot able to reach this machine. All the entries are in the DNS servers. So that's why in real world, DNS servers will have high availability, like primary DNS server, secondary DNS servers will be there. If one goes down, another will be up and running always. So this kind of DNS servers concept is called as a private DNS servers. Private DNS services, this is within your organization. Within your organization, you are configuring. So in this area also, I will create one Windows server, and inside that I'll install a DNS, and inside this DNS, for example, if this is a Valaxy, then Valaxy domain will be there. Like for example, Infosys, something like this, .com. So then whatever your host name will be there, you configure under this DNS server, then it will be like EUPDVL app 001 dot infosys.com. This will be like your fully qualified domain name for your host name. And why I'm taking this naming, like in every organization there is a naming convention. EU means here Europe. Understood? PD means production. App means it's an application server, and the number of that application server. This is one example. And EUPDLSDB001. What is the meaning? EU means Europe. PD means prod. LS means Linux server. DB means database server. So this way naming conventions will be provided in your organization. So Linux servers, DB servers, and Active Directory servers, proxy servers, EU, PD, VL, PRX001. And here V means what it is? Virtual machine. Here there is no V, means it might be physical machine. This way we can easily identify based on the naming convention. You can know what is the server, whether it's a production or not production, database, proxy server, web server, everything you can able to see. So this is called private DNS, means you are configuring your domain name here, your company's domain name, and then under that you are going to create records. So when you create records, it will come like this way, dot your domain name infosys.com, or if galaxy.com is configured, all your server names will come like fully qualified domain name. There will be another concept is there, public DNS servers. We don't manage it, public DNS servers. Like we are accessing so many websites, right? All these websites front end for user friendly purpose, it's an alias, gmail.com, google.com, user friendly names they are, but back end they are running with the IPs only. End of the day, sites will run with IPs, but front end for user friendly purpose, different domains are available in the market. So whenever we go and buy a domain name, then that domain name should be added to any of the public DNS servers, so that it can be accessed throughout the world. And if this machine entries are added in your DNS, then within this network only it will be accessible. That's why this is called as a private DNS, which we are managing. Public DNS we are not managing, someone else will manage. So whenever you go to any web hosting company, for example, I have institute Valaxy Technologies, and I have my own website valaxytech.com. Then I am not going to create my own server, virtual machine in cloud and create that web pages, right? I'll just have web pages, and I'll go to any service provider, web hosting company, and I'll buy what are the suitable domain from GoDaddy or Big Rock, some valaxytech.com, valaxy.in, something like this. I'll buy that. And that web hosting guy, what it will do, he will host my website on his server, and he will add my domain name into public DNS servers. Then only it will be visible across the world. Otherwise, if your domain name is not updated, whatever the domain name which you purchased, website name is not updated in public DNS, then you cannot access that name through the internet. So it should be added. So whenever we will try www.galaxytech.com, it will go to the DNS first. Public DNS servers, it will go, it will check. And once it is fine, then it will send it to your uh, server, means wherever your website content is there, right? What page, DevOps course, Azure course, what are the course pages? Where is that content? It will tell. Then from there, you will going to get the pages. So this is called public DNS. So in this traffic manager, we are going to talk about this public DNS, not about this. To understand more, some people, as per your answers, I know that most of you people are know about what is DNS and private DNS and this public DNS, but those who don't know, that's why I'm explaining in detail about this one. Understood? So now when we are talking about traffic manager, here also this traffic manager expects a DNS name of these machines, not the IP address of these machines. That's why it's clearly mentioned DNS based traffic load balancer. So as of now, we created these machines. I'll just install Nginx, but I did not created one more machine. I'll go and see. Still, it is trying to delete one of the RG, but I think we can create the one more VM also. The second VM got failed, so I'll create that VM again by executing the single command. So let it create. Now this East US VM is created. This is created. Now I need to install Nginx. By that time we do everything, this will also get ready. So East US VM. Today I may not answer for the questions because for the less time. So keep it aside all your questions. Tomorrow when we finish this one, I'll answer everything. Okay. So now I need to connect to this machine, right? So I'll connect to this machine. Session SSH. Cloud Freak. Accept. Connected. So now I'll just do sudo to get the root access, because normal user cannot able to install the packages. This is a Ubuntu machine. So obviously we need to do first apt update to make sure all the repositories are up to date. And tomorrow also we'll talk about complete this traffic manager and DNS, and then we'll finish all the questions, whatever you have today and tomorrow all together. And I don't want extension. So tomorrow we'll take complete traffic manager. From after that onwards, we'll take the fresh new sessions. Okay. So it's up to date. Now apt install Nginx. So we are not an application, guys, to have some real application over here. So that's why I'm installing Nginx. So Nginx is a web service. So it will give one some basic web page. So we assume that is our application. For that purpose, I'm installing this Nginx. I think someone asked now, like, why Nginx? See, when I'm trying to access through the internet, I should get some page. It should look like some website. So for that purpose, I cannot get some website content and put it in the server. And when I open it in the browser with public IP, it might get. But where can I bring that application content now? And again, we need to copy into the Linux machine, transfer FTP, all these things, unnecessary stuff. So this our agenda is like at least one page is coming or not whenever we access the IP of public IP through the browser. So for that, Nginx is enough. So Nginx is installed, and then I'll go and see whether another machine also got created. Now again, I'll go to the virtual machines, refresh. you see, this is also got created. I'll connect to this machine also, West US. Right now I'm in the East US. Session, SSH, copy, Cloud Freak. Okay, accept. No. Logging as a root account. Same here also. I'm using apt update. You can give multiple commands in a single go. Apt update is one command and apt install nginx. Just give ampersand. That's it. So it will execute two commands. Yeah, same as IIS server in Windows. In Windows we have IIS. In Linux we have HTTP and nginx. For web, nginx is not only for web service. Nginx is also work as an ingress controller also. So HTTP is a exact example for IIS, but Nginx is also work. HTTP is also work as a web service in Linux. Yes, sir. Now Nginx is installed in both the machines. We need to check whether the service is running or not. etc init.d nginx status. This is running, and here also I'll check etc init.d nginx status. In both the machines it is running. So now what I'm going to do, I will try to access this by taking the public IP. I cannot able to access it. Why? The web page is not coming. Why I cannot able to access? Exactly. Port is not allowed in the NSG. So let me go to the West US VM and networking and NSG incoming, add destination, where is HTTP? HTTP, add. The same thing we need to do it for the another VM, East US VM, networking, add inbound rule, HTTP, add. So rules are getting added. Once it is done, then we can able to access. See, automatically I can able to access this. Welcome to Nginx, and I'll take the East US public IP also. Now here, if you see, here also I should able to access it. Same like this one. See, 20.163 also same, and here also it is same, 40.118. Basically, your application, whatever is running here and here, it should be the same application. So as of now, we installed Nginx and both are able to access. Now you need to create traffic manager, and inside this traffic manager, you need to configure these two machines as an uh, endpoints. So that we'll discuss tomorrow. And after we configure endpoints, then it will give you some name like, for example, traffic manager.net, and whatever the extension you give before that. Let's, for example, if I give the name of Galaxy at the time of creating this traffic manager, it will give galaxy.trafficmanager.net. So whenever I access this one, then it is going to give me the access to this site. So if you have time, like we have 10 minutes of time, then I will continue now itself this traffic manager concept. So quickly I'll go to the main page, traffic manager. If you see here, traffic manager profiles, select here and create. I'm giving Galaxy, and tomorrow we'll discuss about these routing methods. As of now, I'll select weighted subscription free trial, and you can use the same Azure traffic DNS which we created. So regarding this is very important routing method that I will explain tomorrow. Create. So traffic manager is getting created now. So once this traffic manager is created, as of now, I am creating this traffic manager. I did not added these two as an endpoints now. Once it is done, I'm going to add it. It is done. So this is traffic manager. So if you see here, so here create. Not this one. So go to the load balancer here inside this traffic manager. Not where is traffic manager? Okay. So when you click on traffic manager, it will show you whatever you created. This is the name which I provided, Galaxy. And if you select this one, you can see here endpoints. We should create endpoints. And if you see DNS name, this is the name. And this name we are going to, as I mentioned, galaxy.trafficmanager.net. So trafficmanager.net is by default domain name for traffic manager. What are the name you are giving at the time of creation? That will be like extension, subdomain, galaxy.trafficmanager.net. So traffic manager is by default, you'll get it. So here you'll go to the endpoints, create an endpoint, and you should select Azure endpoint because these are not any external endpoints. Your resources, VMs are inside the Azure only. If it is an on-premise data center, then you can select external, but our VMs are in the Azure. And name East US endpoint, and tag resource type public IP address, because our virtual machines is having public IP address, and choose public IP address. These are the two public IP address for our two VMs. But if you see, cannot be associated with the traffic manager endpoint. You cannot associate these IPs. Why? If I select it, what it's telling, no DNS name is configured. So if you go to your VMs, so it is expecting it should have a DNS name for your VM. By default, DNS name is not configured for your VM. So traffic manager here expecting not the IP address, public IP of this machine, DNS name of your machine. So you should configure DNS name. So select here not configured. If you click on that, it will show. So this is for this public IP, give some name. And here DNS label name, if you see, east2us.cloudapp.azure.com is a default. And whatever you give here, that will come. East2us VM01. This is the name I'm providing. And save. So once this is saved, then we can go back and check. Here it should change now. Now if you see east2us, this is my host name. Same thing I was discussing, right? Here, these names. And backend, this private DNS server is managing by Azure, not managing by us. This is the name which they are providing. Backend, they are providing this name. We don't manage the DNS server. And same way, I'll go to the another VM, West US. Now here also it is not configured. Go here, West US VM01 and save it. Because why it is not expecting IP? Because IP might change. So when you configure it with the IP, if the IP is changed, then traffic manager doesn't know the new IP of this machine, right? So then it will not send the traffic. That's why it is expecting a DNS name. So DNS name of your machine will be the same. If the IP is changing, the new IP will be associated with your DNS name. So that's why it is expecting DNS names. Now we'll see whether this is also changed or not. Now it is also changed. Now I go here. I'll cancel this request. Again, I'll try to create. Same Azure endpoint, east2us endpoint, the name, and public IP address. So now if you see, can be associated. Previously it was showing cannot be associated. Now this is US, east2us, and weight I am giving 1000. I will explain tomorrow again what is this weight. This is not Zoom is a bit difficult. GoToMeeting is very, very good. Now again, I'm going to add another endpoint. Same West US endpoint, and this is a public IP address, and choose West US, and this weight is 1. How to hide this Zoom meeting screen? So this is also created. Both the endpoints has been created. Now what we need to do, very simple. Go to the overview and take this name and try to access with this name. See, galaxy.trafficmanager.net, it is getting the page. So whatever the application has been installed inside this machine, with this name, I can able to access it. Understood? So as I mentioned, I cannot answer the questions now. So just write it down on a notepad, and tomorrow once we finish the class, we'll discuss, because tomorrow also I'm going to talk about the same. Why? Because what is extension? Now I think you might be thinking it is we achieved whatever we want. But tomorrow what we are going to talk, right now this is galaxy.trafficmanager.net, but I don't want this domain name. If I want to run some business and this is my site, I cannot promote this name to everyone that my website is galaxy.trafficmanager.net, right? It doesn't look good. I want my own domain name, whatever it looks like, maybe galaxy.in or galaxytech.in .in or something like that. What are the business you are running? If it is any movie news related site is running, then you want something like movie related, right? So I want that domain name. I don't want any extensions like trafficmanager.net. I cannot use this to go and promote my business, right? Then DNS will come into the picture, public DNS. So here in the Azure, what we are going to do, we will create DNS zones. So in the DNS zone, we will write alias. Alias means what? Galaxy dot traffic manager.net, and whatever the site which we are creating, like I want galaxy.in. So whoever trying to access galaxy.in, then first it will come to this DNS, and in this DNS it will see there is alias, and then it will send it to galaxy.trafficmanager.net, and traffic manager will send the request to the servers, and front-end users will get that information. So tomorrow we'll talk about how to create this. But how to get this website? You should have one website. What is the website you want? You should have that website. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to buy a website in the GoDaddy. GoDaddy. Inside this, I'll buy the website. But whenever you are purchasing a website, these GoDaddy people are assuming that you are going to host your application or whatever the web application inside their platform. So that's why what they mentioned, what are the site you are buying, that is already entered in the public DNS of GoDaddy. GoDaddy is maintaining public DNS servers, and in their public DNS, they already provided what are the site you are purchasing. Suppose I'm purchasing some abc.com. So this abc.com is updated in this public DNS of GoDaddy, expecting that you are going to host their application. So you will take some servers and you will host their application in their environment, so that you can use their public DNS. But you have your own setup. You want only domain name. Then what you are going to do? So if someone is trying to access abc.com, then it will backend will go to the public DNS server. GoDaddy public DNS servers don't know where is your application is hosted. Then what we will do? So whenever we created this DNS zone, it will provide 4 DNS servers of Azure public DNS servers. So when we create this DNS zone, it will create 4 DNS servers. We'll copy those 4 DNS servers and we'll update inside the GoDaddy and remove this public DNS of GoDaddy, and we'll update these DNS servers, Azure DNS servers over here. So whenever if someone is accessing this page abc.com, then it will go to the public DNS of our Azure servers, and then it will tell that there is an alias has been here, record has been created, that whoever is accessing galaxy.in, go and access this one, and this will route the traffic to this way. So tomorrow I have my own website inside the GoDaddy, which is init6tech.com. If I execute this website, I should get this page instead of this value. That is the agenda. If I type my own init6tech.com tomorrow, I should get the web page. For that, we need to do a lot of stuff. GoDaddy and configure everything. This way we are going to do that. Little bit like lot of cloud means lot of practicals. In DevOps also you don't have that much of practical, but in cloud means lot of options, lot of practicals, lot of topics. Every time they are introducing new services, every day new options are coming. So someone just, I don't know the name, someone asked like, we are getting confused by seeing lot of options. I mean, yes, you need to do lot of practice and prepare your own notes for each and every service. If you are practicing about one service, prepare a notes, what you understand, what are the options, why you are selecting that, what will happen if you select that. So whenever again after few months, if you want to go through the Azure, each and every topic notes if you refer, then again you can recollect. If you don't have your own notes, then today you will remember, after 1 month, 2 months, again you will forget everything. If I ask what's the difference between NSG and firewall, you cannot able to answer. So you prepare your own notes, invest some time on it, practice, and whatever you understand in your own language, you can write it down. This is the option I am selecting. Why? Because this will happen. That way you can write it down. So whenever you are preparing for interview also, all the services, whatever you are learning, if you prepare for at least one day, that's it. You don't need to refer any documents or interview questions. By seeing your own document itself, you can able to understand. Because this is what I do. Even I like memory loss. Like after 2 months, 3 months, even I will also forget. If I don't teach for 3 to 4 months, again I need to go through the document also whenever I'm going to start the class, because each and every step remembering every time means it's not possible. Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow, and I'll clear all the questions tomorrow, because tomorrow it will take just half an hour of time, because we achieved half of the part and this part is pending. So this we'll do tomorrow. Okay, thank you guys.